expecting from all of you. Hindi lang yung pag-aaralan natin ngayon, kundi implementation na ang pag-uusapan kasi policy directive na ito eh. No, hindi na ito kumbaga this is an instruction, no, to implement it, no. So kaya gusto ko malaman kung merong consultation or ang recommendation na yun galing sa inyo.
Mr. Chair, as regards the draft of the bill, we'll be submitting a draft of the bill regarding the Sariling Kuryente Act and also on the systems laws.
Yeah, but having said that, meron ng 8 na bills dito according to our chairman on the removal of system laws. And sabi ko nga, that is water under the bridge. Ibig sabihin, we have to move forward to, that's a policy directive that we all support, no? 8 ang bills dito, so ibig sabihin, maraming senador ang sumusuporta sa pagtanggal ng system laws. Although kanina, kaya rin ako na-late, I was watching the news, nasabi ni Mr. Pangilinan, ang boss ni Attorney Valle sa Meralco, na sino sasagot, no, nung system laws, no? Obviously, ayaw namin mga consumers sagutin yun. No? Kaya 8 ang nagpasa ng bills para tanggalin yung system laws. And nakikita naming sasagot nun, obviously, yung distribution company. No? And it will be part of their cost or expense, no, in generating electricity or in transmitting electricity. So, nakikita ko naman, ang kagandahan naman doon ay mapapwersa ngayon yung mga distribution utilities to be more efficient. Ngayon kasi efficient or not efficient, bahala na si consumer. Papasa na yon. No? Of course, sinasabi nila may technology and all that, pero walang pressure for them to lower down system loss because everything is passed to the consumers. So ngayon, since it's part of their cost na, mapapwersa sila na talagang pababaan or kung pababaan or tanggalin yung system loss lalo na pagdating sa technical. No, sa non-technical, makipag-usap na lang sa mga pulis para hulihin yung mga nagja-jumper. Mga jumper yan eh. Di ba? Mga jumper o barangay or ano. Di ba? Para completely matanggalin non-technical. But ang point of the matter there is, as consumers, agree that it should not be passed on. No, dahil nga hindi naman namin kasalanan yung technical losses, hindi rin naman namin kasalanan yung jumper, diba? So hindi dapat sa amin ipasa yon. So again, may 8 bills dito and ang chairman natin will fast track the hearing of that bill. So we expect DOE and ERC to be ready with data, with the mechanisms, dahil kung maghihiring ng ating chairman, kala masagot na lahat ng tanong, no? Hindi pwedeng sa next week or next month, or it has to be answered right away. And I think the chairman is going to hear that
Yes, next week.
Next week. So all of the questions, including yung mga concerns ng Meralco and other utilities, especially the ECs, nandito ba ang PhilReca?
Dito.
PhilReca.
Here.
In concerns ng PhilReca, ma-address na lahat yun. No? We want to make sure that those concerns ma-address. No? Nakita ko sa notes ko ang estimate ng system loss nationwide is about 70 to 80 billion. Is that correct, Chair Juan? Kung in-add natin lahat ng system losses being charged to consumers, it's about 7 to 80 billion. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact data now, but based on the Meralco, which is more than 70% of the total market, it's already 30 billion for last year.
30 billion last year. So kung remaining 30, baka overestimate yung hawak ko. So baka around mga 35 billion pagkasama EC. Mga 40 billion, let's say. Mga 45. Mga 45 billion pagkasama EC. So ang tanong, who will absorb that 45? No? Again, I think that 45 can be absorbed by the distribution utilities. They just need to be efficient. Kaya ngayon nung narinig ko nga yung mga ibang EC na dapat VAT zero rating, pag nag-VAT zero rating tayo, paano tayo magpapatayo ng eskwelahan? No? Wala na tayo makukolektang buwis. Di ba? Paano tayo magpapatayo ng tulay, kalsada? No? Kung lahat tatanggalan natin ng buwis, wala na tayong panggastos sa social services natin. So ang aking mungkahi, maging efficient. Diba? Pababain natin or kung pwede nga lalong close near zero yung system loss, mas maganda nga yun eh. No? So instead of curtailing the collection of government, let's be more efficient, no? Using technology and other mechanisms. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions to Attorney Juan and Yusek Inocencio. Attorney Juan, tama po yun, Mr. Manny Pangilinan saying na pag inalis po yung systems loss, mag-incur ng losses at baka bumagsak po yung industriya ng elektrisidad pag binawasan po, inalis yung systems loss. Totoo ba malulugi po sila? Is that true kung alisin natin? Say for example, we start with non-technical systems loss. Malulugi po ba?
Dahil po ang non-technical system loss ay mga nasa 1 at hanggang 1.5% ng total kabuang system loss nila, ito po ay magre-representa ng kabawasan doon sa kita nila. Pero ito naman po ay maliit kumpara doon sa kabuang system loss.
So kabawasan sa kita nila, hindi sila mababankrupt kung alisin natin ang systems loss.
Ang sa tingin naman po ng ERC, kung ito ang magiging regulasyon, mag-a-adjust, mag-a-adapt ang ating mga utilities at maaaring mas magiging masigasig sila sa panghuhuli ng mga nagnanakaw ng kuryente. Nang sa ganon ay hindi naman maging malaki ang impact sa kanila nung pagtanggal ng halimbawa yung non-technical system loss.
Yusek Inocencio, your thoughts on this?
Yes, I fully agree with the statement of the chair that the systems loss adjustment could be a self-regulating mechanism for the DUs and the ECs to make themselves more efficient, and so that the pass-through charge or the systems loss could be more reflective only of the technical for now. And then for the technical, it's going to be a long-term solution that we would have to assist most of the ECs in the implementation of infrastructure improvements so that they can make sure that they can lessen the technical losses. But I fully agree with the statements of the chair that it's a self-regulating mechanism if there will be some adjustments or lowering down of the allowable cap on the system's loss. Thank you.
Let me go back here. Attorney Valles na Meralco. Ano pong ginagamit nyo? Ano ho yung formula na ginagamit nyo para ma-detect systems loss bawat bahay? Pare-pareho po ba? Pagpunta po ng inyong meter reader doon, yung magkukuha ng bill, anong klase pong system, anong sistema or formula? Pare-pareho ba yung ginagamit yung computations na para makuha yung systems loss? Or can you explain to us?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Pwede ko po bang ipaliwanag muna yung sa system loss ng Meralco?
Go ahead.
So yung sa Meralco po today, no, ang feeder loss cap na inimpose ng regulasyon ay nasa 5.5%. So ang Meralco po ay ang total system loss cap namin or feeder loss cap namin ay 4.22% as of 2025. So mababa ho kami kaysa doon sa feeder loss cap na sinet ng ERC, at sa aming palagay ay yung 4.22 na yan ay global standard na po. At dun po sa 4.22 na yan, less than 1% lang po dyan ang tinatawag nating non-technical losses. So yung non-technical losses po, alam na po natin yun po yung mga pilferage of electricity. So sa pilferage of electricity po, ang Meralco, agresibo po kaming nagpo-prosecute ng mga illegal connection, jumper, nanguhuli kami niyan. Kaya lang po, hindi talaga maiiwasan dahil siyempre po marami pong nagnanakaw ng kuryente. Halimbawa, bibigyan ko kayo ng example. Sa gabi nila ginagawa. Halimbawa, madaling araw. So, o kaya naman po, yung mga jumper, pagka nakita nila ang Meralco na nandyan, tatanggalin nila pag alis ng Meralco, kakabit, ibabalik nila. So hindi po natin maiwasan. Ginawa na ho namin lahat ng hakbang para po maibaba ang non-technical loss. Tinaas po namin ng metro sa mga ilang depressed areas para hindi maabot. Yet may nangyayari pa rin hong non-technical losses. So ang solusyon, kung gusto natin i-eradicate ang or tanggalin talaga ang non-technical loss, kailangan damihan namin yung personnel na 24/7 nag-i-inspect dito sa mga kabahayan na to at nakabantay sa bawat siguro bawat isang kilometrong poste na umiikot sila o rumoronda sila at napakagastos po niyon. So tinimbang po namin yun, kung yung sinasabi nyo po kailangan namin gawa ng paraan para mapababa yung non-technical losses. Nagkaroon na ho kami ng simulation dyan kung mas makakabuti po ba yon sa consumers. Kasi po ngayon yung less than 1% within the cap kami. Kung i-improve pa po namin yan below para ma-achieve natin yung zero na sinasabi nating non-technical losses, malaki naman po yung gagastusin namin na operational expenses at saka capital expenditure. No? Na siya naman po ang kakarga na naman doon sa taripa. Kasi po, hindi naman papayagan ng any distribution utility na malugi sila dahil sa mga nagnanakaw ng kuryente. So gagawa sila ng paraan, sabi nyo nga ho, ay para ma-curb ito, para mabawasan ito, o para ma-eradicate ito. So mapipilitan nung silang gumastos. So kung gagastos po sila ng mas malaki kaysa sa magiging pakinabang ng customers dito sa system loss na tanggalin natin or gawin nating zero yung non-technical losses, hindi po magiging fair sa consumers yun. Kasi mas yung net po na benefit ma-offset.
Sir, I totally disagree with you.
Yes.
Your explanation, you mean you're a business. At the same time, you're catering to public service, di po ba? Pero boss, narinig ko yung sinasabi mo na tataasan kasi systems loss. Parang ayaw ninyo magka-incur ng losses. Business, sir, ay may mga losses. Dapat you have to be prepared for that. Pinag-aralan ko po sa eskwelahan yun eh. Normal po yun sa isang negosyo na magkaroon ng losses. At dapat meron po kayong allowance lagi for losses. I had a degree po in business management, kaya alam ko ho yun. So ibig ko lamang sabihin, are you saying na pag kailangan wala kayong losses, ipasa nyo sa amin? Yung pagdadagdag nyo ng mga tao, ikakarga na naman sa bill namin? Hindi na mo namin problema yun. Hindi na rin ho problema ng consumer yun. Magdagdag ka ng tao mo, mag-expand ka, wala kaming pakialam doon. Ang gusto lang namin, kuryente, bumibili po kami. Bumibili lang kami ng kuryente sa inyo, binibigyan nyo kami ng kuryente, pero yung sinasabi mo na, para bantayan, walang magnanakaw, bakit kami na naman ang sasagot noon? Parang lagi na lang ho kami hong sasagot. Ganito lang sa bibigyan kita ng example. Kung nanakawan po yung tindahan, so sa susunod na next week, gagawin niya, tataasan niya lahat ng presyo ng paninda niya kasi nalugi siya, na-hold up siya, o nasunugan siya, o binaha yung tindahan niya, nasira. So may mga losses siya. Dapat sir, meron kayong mga miscellaneous na mga losses. Dapat ready po kayo, mga distribution utilities, ready po kayo, mga electric cooperative. Hindi yun po pwede. Ayaw magkaroon ng losses, lumipat ka na ng negosyo. That's what my point is. That's what the people are saying right now. Bakit kami lagi? Kayo wala na ba kayong sasagutin na losses? Puro na lang sa tao, pass on, puro pass on. Lahat na lang pinapass on. Napakagandang negosyo pala nito. Hindi ko naisip sana tayo lang ako ng electric company din para na generation at saka distribution para napakasarap pala na negosyo na ito. Walang losses. Sa tao nyo lagi sinisingil. Ang kawawang taong bayan. Sir, hindi po tayo mayaman na bansa. Let us not forget. Yung mga sinisingil yun ng mga 360 na yan, yan po kita ng isang kababayan natin dito sa Metro Manila, 507 na yan, na imbis na pambili pa ng mga pagkain, kailangan ibayad po. This is what I do not understand. Siguro, don't give us that reason na tataas ang sisingilin na naman ninyo sa consumer. Bakit po sa amin? Di po ba? Why is it always like that? Na kami yung sasalo. dahil kailangan nyo maraming tagabantay na mga jumper, etc., illegal metering. Problema nyo ho yun. That is your business. Hindi kami part ng Meralco. Kami po ang mga customer po ninyo. Yun lang ho yung sa akin. Ano po? Go ahead.
Salamat po, Mr. Chairman Tulpo. Ang pinapaliwanag ko lamang po, yung sinasabi niyo pong losses ng mga distribution utilities, actually po, kaya po ang meron tayong system loss cap na tinatawag kasi po yung mga DUs na sinasabi nating inefficient na lumalagpas doon sa cap at hindi nila ginagawa ng mahusay yung kanilang trabaho para hulihin yung mga magnanakaw ng kuryente. Yung above the cap na yun, ina-absorb ho ng buong buo ng mga utilities yun. So, pag ikaw ho, ang naging criteria, batayan, ay pag ikaw ay bumaba sa cap, medyo sinasabi natin, efficient ka na, so hindi mo na ina-absorb yung losses na yon below the cap. Lahat po kami, pagka nagpo-prosecute kami ng pilferage, lahat po yan ng nare-recover ng Meralco na presyo ng kuryente na nawala, no? Yung tinatawag nating billing na nawala, ay ibinabalik din ho namin yan sa customers bilang kabawasan sa aming generation cost. So wala hong napupunta sa Meralco dyan kasi yung nakukuha, binabalik sa customers at yung buong system loss actually part ng generation cost yan, binabayad din naman yan sa generation companies. So si Meralco po, ang mangyayari dahil malaki yung magiging expenses niya, lahat ng expenses namin pagka ina-attempt namin na pababain ang aming system loss, I think karaniwan sa lahat ng distribution utility, ipinipresenta namin sa Energy Regulatory Commission. Ito po yung mga gastusin in terms of capital expenditures and operational expenditures. At i-evaluate naman ng ERC yon kung ano doon yung fair na expenses na pwede nilang sabihin na isasama nila sa taripa.
Mr. Chair. Salamat, Mr. Chair. In any case po, Attorney Valles, kung gaya ng sinasabi, 1-point-something% lang naman ang component na non-technical, itong mga pilferage, etc., sa kabuoang systems loss. Ibig sabihin, 98-point-something% ang systems loss mula sa technical. Hindi ko po ine-excuse kung may nagnanakaw ng kuryente, but ibig pong sabihin yung overwhelming na responsibilidad at potensyal na i-address yung kabuang systems loss ay dun sa technical side. So sa distribution utilities po. Ibig sabihin kung fully i-electrify nyo lahat-lahat ng mga household sa Pilipinas and gaya ng sinabi ni SP kanina, maging mas efficient, ma-address po natin, I think in large part, yung 5% lang na charge sa systems losses. If I may, Mr. Chair, dahil on board ang Meralco, may tanong po ako sa kanila at sa ERC tungkol sa consumer protection.
But before
Yes,
that,
Mr. Chair.
Sen Risa, hindi po ninyo nasagot, Atty. Valles. Anong ginagamit po ninyo na formula, batayan, para masabi na itong bahay sa number 1, 2, 3 Sampaloc, ito yung systems loss niya. Yung kapitbahay niya, 1, 2, 4, ito yung systems loss. Ano hong pinagbabasihan niyo roon? O pare-pareho lang? Bahay number 1, bahay number 2, bahay number 3, mas malaki si number 3 yung konsumo niya, mas maliit ba ang system, mas malaki ba ang systems loss niya? Paano kung yung maliit ang konsumo, mas maliit ba ang systems loss niya? Hindi po ba uniform or standard ang pagsisingil ng systems loss? At what kind of formula are you using?
Uniform po ang singil ng system loss charge, no. Magkakaiba lamang po 'yan per customer class. Iba sa residential, iba sa commercial or industrial. Pero yung pag pumupunta po bahay-bahay ang mga meter reader ng Meralco, ang tinitignan lamang po doon kung ano yung basa sa meters.
Yeah, kagaya po nito sa example ni Sen Risa, 238 ang systems loss. Ibig sabihin, lahat sila sa barangay na yan, 238 lahat sila. Kahit na, paano kung wala siyang refrigerator, walang aircon, 238 pa rin ang systems loss niya?
Hindi po, Your Honor. Ang ibig kong sabihin, ang rate per kilowatt hour po ng system loss charge pare-parehas, halimbawa kung residential, pero magkakaiba ho yan doon sa billing depende ho sa konsumo. Kung halimbawa kung 1,000 kilowatt hour ang kinonsumo niya, i-multiply po yan ng rate per kilowatt hour, yun po yung magiging lalabas na system loss charge niya sa kanyang bill. So kung 8,500 naman po ang kanyang kilowatt hour consumption, mas mababa naman po yung lalabas na system loss charge dito sa kanyang bill.
All right, thank you. Sen. Risa.
Salamat, Chair. At muli, i-point out ko na dito sa sample bill na to, yung system loss ay 6 lang na pinakamataas na pass-on charge. Di hamak na mas matataas una yung generation, tapos yung distribution, in this case Meralco, yung government taxes na nabanggit din kanina, taxation, pang-4 transmission, pang-5 transmission, and then finally on this bill yung systems loss. So mula systems loss, pwede pa nating i-examine further, mas malalim yung 5 pang mas malalaking may pass-through charge character sa mga bill po natin. Pero so Mr. Chair, may final po akong bill ngayong linggo, iniintay ko lang pong ma-refer sa committee nyo tungkol ko sa consumer protection, at gusto ko rin itanong ito sa Meralco at sa ERC kasi nga po may nagbanggit na rin po kanina, marami po sa mga kababayan natin nagrereklamo sa maling meter reading kaya tumaas po yung singil sa kuryente nila, yung bill nila. For the record lamang po para marinig ng publiko natin, hindi po ba official policy po ba na kailangan munang bayaran ang singil kahit pa may protesta, no? Kailangan bang bayaran yung full amount kahit po nagprotesta yung customer na ay mali po yung reading na to sa metro ko? Attorney Valles, Mr. Chair.
Ang mga consumers po na may reklamo tungkol sa kanilang billing or sa kanilang meter reading, pag sila po ay tumugon sa Energy Regulatory Commission, automatic po hindi na po na-enforce yung disconnection. So pag hindi po na-enforce yung disconnection, na-hold din nila yung kanilang payment ng bills. Pero wala pong official policy to my recollection na dapat ay hindi sila magbayad ng bill. Pero sa Meralco po ang ginagawa namin, tinitignan namin yung mga reklamo, yung mga complaints, at within the same day or 2 days, nire-resolve po namin yan bago pa ho dumating doon sa due date ng bill. So malaking porsyento ho ng mga reklamo na yan, nare-resolve namin in a matter of 24 hours or 48 hours bago pa ho dumating yung due date ng bill. Para ho pagdating ng due date ng bill, alam na po nila kung ano po yung tamang bayarin doon sa kanilang kuryente.
Wala po bang planong Meralco magkaroon ng official company policy na kung may protesta yung customer nyo, anyway 70% kayo ng market, kung may protesta po sila dahil sasabihin nila mali po yung meter reading namin, ay hindi nyo muna sila puputulan ng kuryente?
Ginagawa po namin yan, Your Honor, kung alimbawa po at pag-evaluate namin ng kanilang complaint ay nakita namin na talagang kami ay yung initial evaluation pa lang pong ito within 24 hours nakita namin na kailangan busisiin ng mabuti at mukhang tama ang complaint ng customer, hinuhold na po namin yan. Hindi na po namin pinipilit sa customer na pabayarin. Pero sana po maintindihan natin na may mga consumer po kasi na inaabuso yung mga ganitong pagkakataon na magrereklamo kahit naman walang basihan ang reklamo para hindi sila makapagbayad at ma-hold yung disconnection. Kaya tinitimbang ho namin. So doon kung tingin namin initial evaluation ay walang basihan at tama naman yung billing namin, reading namin, ay hindi po namin hinuhold yung disconnection. Pero kung hindi po siya satisfied na yun na po yung pagkakataon niyang pumunta sa Energy Regulatory Commission at pagdating naman sa Energy Regulatory Commission, upon filing ng reklamo, nahuhold na po yung disconnection.
Siyempre po, attorney, mas mahirap pumunta ang isang customer sa ERC kesa dumulog diretso sa Meralco. Meron din po kasi mga tao na kahit nagpoprotesta sila na mali daw yung meter reading, na hindi po nang-aabuso pero seryosong nagsasabi, mali po yung meter reading, posible. Parang yung isang halimbawa ni Chair kanina. In the meantime, habang nire-review ng Meralco main office, napuputulan na po sila. So, are you telling the committee po na Meralco is not thinking right now of having a company official policy na anyway, ilang percentage po ba ng mga customers ay nagrereklamo na wrong meter reading at nagpoprotesta? Would you know, sir? Attorney?
Meron kaming mga 8.3 million customers at to my recollection, nasa 2 million, mahigit 2 million yung may mga complaints about 2,000 yung may mga
Ay, salamat.
mga customer complaints, no?
And
Na
salamat.
ine-evaluate po namin. Ngayon po ang dapat po natin maisip sana, pagka pinigil po nila yung pagbabayad, halimbawa po ito ay dumami at maabuso at napigilan yung pagbabayad, kami po, yung distribution utility naman po, hindi naman po namin nabipigilan yung pagbabayad doon sa generation, transmission, sa taxes, sa mga subsidies. Ang distribution component po sa total bill nasa around 10% lang po. So in other words, yung 90% po ng total bill, i-advance na po namin yon sa mga suppliers, sa gobyerno, habang naka-hold ang paniningil namin dito sa mga customers na to. Kaya mabusisi po namin tinitignan kung ano po talaga yung may mga basihan na reklamo o wala.
Last appeal na lang, attorney. 2,000 lang pala sa 8 million plus yung customers. So ano ba yon? 0.0025% or 0.025%? So lalo na panahon ng crisis ngayon, I don't know, maybe I'll just leave it as a palaisapan para sa konsiderasyon ninyo, generate a bit more goodwill sa customers na dagdag na konsiderasyon, no, na habang itong 2,000 lang naman na households, pero 2,000 households pa rin ay may protesta dahil di umano mali ang pagbasa sa metro nila, na for the consideration of Meralco, habang binabakan nyo rin yung issue ng system loss, na on the side of reading of the meters at pagsingil ng bill, to consider an official company policy na wala munang pagputol habang under protest dahil di umano sa wrong meter reading. I'll leave that for your consideration, attorney.
Yes po, salamat po.
All right. Walang anuman. If you would care to get back to our chair about that anytime soon, ma-appreciate po ng komite as we look at
Ikukonsulta
these
lang po namin
issues.
yung at pag-aaralan namin yung records.
All right, salamat po. DOE po, nabanggit ko na po na nasa krisis po tayo at nakapagdeklara po ng National Energy Emergency. So, parallel question, posible po ba magpatupad ang pamahalaan ng price cap ngayong tumataas ang panahon ng petrolyo at yun na nga, nasa National Energy Emergency, price cap po dito sa presyo ng kuryente sa ating mga kababayan?
We will consult with our team in the DOE on that matter and we'll revert. Thank you very much.
May follow-up
Yes,
question
Mr.
ako, Sen. Risa. Yusek Rio and Attorney Juan, what will it take para makontrol natin itong particular itong generation charges na ito? Alam kong deregulated po yan, parang gasolina din. Kaya ewan ko, itong medyo allergic po ako dito sa mga deregulation na ito. What will it take? I know hindi naman pwede nating i-regulate, pero yung putting a price cap, giving you the powers, na sabihin nyo, teka muna, ito lang po pwede. Sige, i-incur nyo na dyan, ilagay nyo na dyan yung cost ng fuel, cost ng coal, and then yung profit ninyo. What will it take for this committee to give you what kind of power so that you can, kahit paano, put a price cap? Hindi naman po regulate totally. What do you need? Attorney Yusek Inocencio.
Mr. Chair, the DOE has been very bullish in encouraging what we call the retail competition, the open competition and that will give the consumer the right to choose the supplier that they would want to supply from where they were going to get the supply, and it's a negotiated contract. So this has been lowered, the threshold. It started as a 1 megawatt threshold. It's now down to 100 kilowatt. And in fact, together with ERC, the ERC has already issued retail aggregation in which, and where the households, even if they're less than 100 kilowatt, they can aggregate their demand and actually negotiate with their supplier. This will empower mostly the residential and even the commercial to negotiate for better terms without being controlled by the distribution utility as captive market. So that is something that we are very bullish about, giving the choice to our people on from whom they should get their power from.
So sa atin, isang kumpanya sa Metro Manila, Meralco, doon po sa Palawan, si Paleco lang, sa Oriental, or Ormeco, sa Bataan, si Penelco, wala namang other companies po na pwede lang pagpipilian. Kung meron lang siguro, pipiliin na. Di ba?
Actually, Mr. Chair, meron na tayong tinatawag na retail electricity suppliers. And there are like for example, the recent, may mga big companies already that have already opted to get their supply from retail electricity suppliers. And as mentioned, it has already gone down to 100 kilowatt as a threshold, and it can even be less than that, the threshold, by aggregating their demand. And they can actually contract or contact this retail electricity supplier and negotiate for lower rates. And the number of electricity suppliers have really been has gone up, and the competition is very strict already, and they have that option, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Juan, anong kailangan ba para nakakapagod na ho ito for the past 20 plus years? Ganito ng ganito, ang dami mga pass-on charges sa mga tao. Wala ho bang pamamaraan? Can you give us an idea? Kaya nga po, nandito tayo to review the EPIRA law, and then you're requesting for more power. So what will it take para makontrol ito? What do you need? What kind of power or something that you need to control this? Kasi alam ko, deregulated po itong generation charges po na ito. So what do you need?
Opo, tama po yan. Ang nakita naman natin kasi over time during the implementation of the EPIRA of these past 25 years, ang ating supply ay sumasabay lang doon sa paglaki ng demand, at kung nagkakaroon na nga nung mga pagtanda ng ibang mga planta natin at yung mga infrastruktura kasama na yung transmission at yung mga distribution, sa tuwing magkakaroon ng mga ganitong aberya ay nagkukulang ang supply at nagre-react ang merkado, nagkakaroon ng pagtaas sa ating mga singil, lalo na sa wholesale electricity spot market. So kung ako po ang matatanong, syempre ang supply kailangan natin ayusin at siguruhin na talagang magkakaroon ng karagdagang mga supply upang matugunan yung lumalaking demand natin sa kuryente. At ano naman pong klaseng supply ang kailangan nating paghandaan? Syempre po dahil ito ay pribadong sektor ang mamumuhunan dito sa mga generation supply na ito, kakailanganin na mayroon tayong stable na regulatory, legal and regulatory policy environment na kung saan talaga ma-attract sila na mamuhunan. At kung saan natin gusto silang mamuhunan, kung halimbawa ang pulisiya talaga ng gobyerno ay mabawasan yung reliance natin sa imported fuel, so kinakailangan na magkaroon tayo ng mga implementasyon ng mga pulisiya at regulasyon na makahikayat sa pagtatayo ng mga karagdagang mga renewable plants halimbawa, nang sa ganun ay mabawasan naman yung ating dependence on imported fuel. At sa kung magtatayo naman ng planta, itong mga pribadong sektor na ito, sila ay umuutang, sila ay naglalagak ng kanilang kapital. At itong kapital na ito, kumpara naman sa ibang bansa, medyo may kamahalan ang ating cost of capital. So ito rin ay napapasama doon sa ating generation charge. Kasama na dito, kung tayo ay patuloy na nagre-rely doon sa mga imported fuel na binibili natin ng dolyar, so sa tuwing magkakaroon ng pagtataas sa singil ng coal, sa singil ng nat gas, at binibili natin ito ng dolyar, lalong tumataas yung gastusin sa paglikha ng kuryenteng ito. So pangkalahatan po, kung gusto natin na pababain, siguro ang singil ng kuryente, ultimately, yun ang ating punteriyahin, yung generation. At kung titingnan pa natin yung ibang mga maliliit na component dyan, yung mga policy, tulad nung sa universal charge, palaki na rin po ng palaki yung universal charge for missionary electrification. Ganun din po, meron pa dyan yung mga ibang pass-through charges na po pwede na tingnan natin kung paano ito mas mapapababa.
Go ahead.
Nabuksan ni Yusek Rio yung retail competition. Meron, Epira, yung retail competition open access, kailangan all the way to the household level yan. No? I know bumababa naman. But ang aspiration natin ay lahat ng kabahayan pwedeng pumili ng generator nila para talagang laban-laban ng mga generator. Hindi lang aggregation, kundi all the way to the household level. That's the dream, no? And but that dream is not unique, no? Sa Singapore ginagawa na 'yan, sa Australia ginagawa na 'yan. So kami mga consumers, we can choose our generator. Kung gusto namin RE, pwede kami mag-full RE. Pag gusto namin blended, pwede kami mag-blended. So, kailan natin magagawa yan? No? Kailan natin ma-reach na yung retail competition all the way to the household level?
Sa ngayon po ay nagkaroon na naman ng katuparan yung pangarap na yan sa ilan-ilan natin na mga household dahil sa programa ng Retail Aggregation Program na kung saan ang ating mga even household, mga kabahayan, pwede silang magbuklod-buklod tulad ng isang nangyari dyan sa isang subdivision exclusive sa malapit sa Ortigas, sa opisina namin. Nagbuklod-buklod sila at sila ay nakipag-negotiate sa isang retail electricity supplier at nagkaroon sila ng sariling kontrata nila for the supply. At nakikita natin dito sa mga nagpa-participate sa ating retail market, maging ito ay yung individual o kaya ay aggregate, ay nagkakaroon ng pagbaba ang kanilang overall ng kanilang retail rate dahil yung kanilang generation charge ay naite-tailor doon sa kanilang pangangailangan. Unlike dito sa mga captive market, tayong lahat na nakadepende doon sa contracting na mga decisions and procurement decisions ng ating utility at paminsan ito ay hindi nga na o-optimize at talagang na hahanap yung least cost. Pagdating po sa retail electricity suppliers, dahil alam nila ang kanilang customer, ang load nila, hahanap sila ngayon ng supply na matutugunan yung kanilang load o yung customer at ng mas mababa para sila ay makipag-compete doon pa sa ibang mga retail electricity suppliers. At dito po natin nakikita yung competition at the retail level.
Abot household level. Yan, aggregation pa rin yan eh.
Opo, naibaba na po natin yung threshold to 100 kilowatts. So kasama na po dito kahit yung mga medium na mga negosyo, medium-sized businesses. At sa green energy option naman po, kung ikaw ay individual at meron kang naisin na makipagkontrasa sa renewable lang, ito ay ibinaba na nga din ng Department of Energy, I think to 50 kilowatts. So mayroon din of course na mga implementation issues. Ang lagi nating naririnig na issue mula sa ating mga distribution utilities ay yung kanilang stranded contract na kung sila ay mababawasan ng customer, yung mga nakontrata naman nila under power supply agreements na paminsan ay long term hanggang 10 taon, maaaring hindi na nila ito magamit at ito ay madadagdag naman doon sa gastos na ipapass on nila sa kanilang remaining captive customers. So yan din po ang mga issues na pinag-iisipan natin kung paano maika-carve out ito, mailalagay as a standard provision ng template ng mga PSAs na ika-carve out ito para nang sa ganon ay ma-free up din naman yung mga distribution utilities natin at yung kanilang captive customers ay hindi kailangan magbayad dito sa mga contracted capacities na hindi naman kailangan.
Kaya ba in the next 2 years before this administration ends? Chairman Nino?
I-assess po natin na bago lang po natin na ipinatupad yung customer switch para sa 100 kilowatt noong June 26 at titingnan po natin yung performance ng market at ang readiness ng ating mga distribution
Kasi that will
utilities.
really give the consumers the power of choice. Biro mo, lahat pwede kang pumili kung gusto mo full solar, gusto mo geothermal, gusto mo blended, bahala ka na. Tapos laban-laban yan because all the generators now or in RES, 'di ba? Ilalapit yan sa mga consumers, mag-o-offer sila. No? So hopefully in the next 2 years, no? Hopefully.
If I may add, Mr. Chair, katulad na sabi ni Chair, meron na rin mga condominiums who have opted. Aggregation nga lang, but nagiging aware na ng ang consumers natin ng they have the right to choose. If they can only for now until we go down to the household level, they can just have to aggregate, but nagiging mas na siya mas known na that they actually can choose their source of supply and negotiate for lower rates.
Mr. Chair? Tanong pa rin sa DOE, hindi po ba na kapag may emergency or may calamity, tulad yun, state of energy emergency, hindi ba automatic na hindi puputulan ng kuryente kung hindi makabayad on time?
Actually, Madam, there's no policy as of now, but we will look into that. What we did during the emergency in order to regulate the cost is when we have, together with ERC, made the administered pricing effective for at least, I think, the first month of the emergency, Madam Chair. Mr. Chair.
So, posibleng gawin na default yung no disconnection muna habang may calamity or emergency. Pwedeng kasama ito sa pag-aaralan nyo?
Yes, ma'am.
For the record kasi, Mr. Chair, gaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, naghahain po ako kahapon lang ng Senate Bill 2361 na naglalayong bigyan ng kapangyarihan ang gobyerno na magtakda ng presyo ng kuryente kapag may state of emergency or may calamity. Ang panukalang ito ay gagawing automatic ang no disconnection policy kapag nga emergency or calamity, deferred payment scheme, at saka yung sabi ng Meralco, pag-aaralan nila, pagbabawal sa disconnection habang pinoprotesta ang di umanong maling bill. I have a final question for DOE, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Po. So sa 25 years po, quarter century ng EPIRA, hindi natupad ang pangako nito sa pagpapababa sa presyo ng kuryente. So, masasabi niyo po ba na naging epektibo ang EPIRA dyan sa pangarap na pagpapababa ng presyo ng kuryente sa loob ng 25 taon?
Ma'am, the EPIRA has institutionalized several improvements in the energy sector, but we agree that it is something that we need to revisit and identify areas of improvement.
Salamat po, Yusek. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Risa. Before we proceed, we really have a mission, DOE and ERC and NEA, whether we like it or not. We really have to finish this and we really have to work on basing on the new policy of the government na alisin po yung systems loss na yan. We really have to do this and we have to do this quickly. All right? Moving on, Philippine, who's next? Phil Reca, are you here? Please, may I remind our resource persons to please limit to 3 minutes your presentation or your statements para we can accommodate. There's still like about 15 different organizations to our resource persons today to give out their positions, statements. Phil Reca, go ahead.
Magandang tanghali po, Mr. Chair, and to our Senate President, our Honorable Risa Ontiveros. Kaisa po ang Philippine Rural Electric Cooperative o PhilReca sa direksyon ng pamahalaan at bukas ang aming hanay na aktibong makilahok sa mga talakayan at pagkilos ukol sa pag-amyenda ng EPIRA at sa mga reforma sa ating sektor ng elektripikasyon. Mahalagang kilalanin na ang system loss ay isang likas na katotohanang technical na itinakda ng agham at mga batas ng physics o science, lalo na sa malalawak, malalayo at kabundukang sakop ng mga electric cooperatives. Bagaman patuloy na nagpopondo at nagsisikap ang mga electric cooperatives na modernisa ang mga linya at sugpuin ang pagnanakaw ng kuryente. Likas na may nawawalang enerhiya habang dumadalo ito sa mahabang linya, mas mahabang linya, mas mataas na system loss. Sa aming pong panig, buo ang suporta ng PhilReca sa pagtatanggal ng system loss charges at iba pang non-power cost sapagkat hindi dapat patawan ang kuryenteng hindi naman nagamit ng ating mamamayan. Gayunpaman, upang maprotektahan ang operasyon ng mga non-stock, non-profit electric cooperatives, ang ganap na pagpapatigil sa pagbawi o recovery ng system loss ay dapat tapatan ng direktibang mekanismo o isang performance-driven transition model o isang performance-based standards sa ilalim ng Energy Regulatory Commission. Kasabay po nito, inaasahan po namin ang isang formal na komprehensibong talakayan sa usaping ito, gayon din sa iba pang mga mahalagang hakbangin gaya ng pagpapababa ng generation charges, pag-aayos ng grid congestion cost, at ang pagpapalakas sa National Power Corporation upang mapatakbo ang mga backup power capacity sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Nananatiling buo ang suporta ng PhilReca na may pagtulungan sa gobyerno, mga mababatas at iba pang kasapi na industriya upang makamit ang makatarungang presyo at maasahang serbisyo ng kuryente para sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, PhilReca, Comsec. National Association of General Managers of Electric Cooperatives, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to all the senators present. Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity to present our views, position in the long overdue reform of the Electric Power Industry Reform Act. I think this year is our silver anniversary, 25th. We support the objectives of this committee. The measures that we are tackling now can be and will be of significant help to electric consumers and electric cooperatives. In the electric co-op, when we say electric co-op, it is really the people because we are owner and members of the co-op. That's how we become distinct from other DUs. So every time na may taas na taripa ng kuryente, tao po yung tinatamaan. Kaya una, ma-review yung value added tax kasi nung tiningnan namin yung Republic Act 10026 at saka Republic Act 7109, yung tubig po, merong consideration when it comes to taxes, real property, and I think yung tubig at saka yung kuryente are intertwined in handling our development. Kung hindi man lang talaga totally mawala yung tax, kahit na lang po residential consumers ang walang tax kasi hindi niya ma-recover yung binabayad niya na tax. After all, yung iba na nagnenegosyo, meron silang buffer fund to look into some scheme para ayusin yung tax. After all, you cannot evade tax when you are doing business. But residential consumers are not doing business. As to systems laws, we will just follow ano yung batas, but in the engineering side, we cannot go against the physics. So doon na lang tayo sa technical losses. In electric cooperative, bakit medyo yung cap mataas? Because merong sitio electrification program. The longer the line, the higher the systems loss. And I think yung SEP po, ay order din po yun ng government that the electric cooperative will electrify the non-viable areas. Mahaba yung linya, pero walang tao na kumukonsumo ng marami compared to highly urbanized cities. Another thing, Mr. Chair, yung mga regulatory penalties and avoidable system cost to consumers, kung pwede, wala na yun. Kasi may mga kasi exclusively dapat kung sino yung entity responsible, they will be the one to pay for that. Doon naman sa paghuhuli ng mga magnanakaw, kung pwede yung 7832, baguhin po ma'am, Kasi doon po, yung officer of the law is just a witness. Tapos kami yung nanghuhuli, hindi naman po kami pulis. Wala kaming armas. Pagdating doon, we will be coordinating the officer of the law kasi sinabi sa IRR, the officer of the law must be the witness in the apprehension. Kaya mahirap manghuli na kami wala pong armas at we are not the PNP. Kaya kailangan ding ma-review yung Republic Act 7832. Another thing po, ma'am and sirs, yung system stores kung pwede hindi lang po doon sa distribution. Kami po sa Visayas tinatamaan ng line loss congestion cost. Ganito po, pag may PSA ka, akala namin nag-aggregate kami, nag-PSA kami, yung contract is 4 pesos 70 centavos. Pumapalakpak na kami kasi mora eh. But because what we have contracted is outside of the Visayas, even though meron kang 700 megawatt geothermal in Leyte, pero hindi kami nakakonsumo doon. E nung tinamaan kami ng 5 pesos, LLCC, sabi ng consumer, sabi nyo, 5 lang, bakit naging 10? Hindi namin po ma-explain. Pero in-explain namin yung sinabi ni chairman na ganyan. But sabi naman nila, hindi namin kasalanan yun eh. We are just consumers. If there is congestion, kung sumakay ka ba ng Grab, sinabi doon 700, pagkatapos na traffic ka sa EDSA, sasabihan ka ba ng Grab, pare, bayad ka ng additional 200 kasi nag-traffic ha. Yun yung ano ng congestion eh. Di ba po? Biruin mo 1.5 billion for January to June yung nabayad ng LLCC sa Region 8. Kaya nga po, after all, the president is from Region 8. Kaya naging na-showcase yung Region 8. And hopefully, that can be reviewed also. And as to the restructuring and operationalizing the ERC, we support that para yung mga capex namin mapadali na. And kung pwede, hindi siya centralized dito kasi kung sa Mindanao ka, pupunta ka pa dito, natatagalan po. Kung pwede, gaya ng may Court of Appeals, parang gano'n, para mapadali. So that yung mga efficiency na sinasabi sa amin sa electric co-op, matutugunan namin. And another thing, sir, yung rebalancing of market power, cross-ownership, and we see price brutality. Yung power industry is one. May 4 na sectors. Pero dahil one siya, any ownership of 2 sectors, we construe that is already cross-ownership. Kung nag-generation ka at nag-distribute, cross-ownership na yung tingin namin doon. Generation ka, nag-retail ka rin. Paano makikompete yung DUs, yung sabing customer choice? If yung generation at saka yung rest, isa lang may-ari. Kami wala kaming generation, magdi-distribute lang. Ang mangyayari talaga, maiiwan yung DUs with that. Pag naiwan siya, yung contract niya in long term na 20 years, who will pay the stranded cost? May freedom of choice yung mga kayang maka-afford. Kasi di can afford the money. Yung maiiwan na consumer po. I-quantify din po yun dapat dahil i-increase din yung rates ng residential consumers compared to others. And another thing, Mr. Chair, yung granting emergency presidential crisis powers na mention ni Senator Risa kanina in terms of force majeure, kung pwede, meron yun siya kasi kung merong bagyo, di ba? Lalo na po yung ECERF, usually nakalagay doon 750 million, ngayon 200 million na lang. Kasi weather will like ito na sa Philippines, 16 typhoons in a year. So yung electric co-op, nagbabayanihan kami. Pero sinusubsidize po namin yung electric co-op doon pag pumunta kami. 1 EC will cost us 1 million. Pupunta lang ng isang trupa. Cost po yun in our part. Example lang, tinamaan yung Bicol. Pupunta kami doon para tulungan. Magdadala kami ng poste, transformer. Donation na yun. Pero that is a cost in our co-op. Oo, in task force kapatid. Sa ECRF, natugunan na yun na gobyerno na meron siyang subsidy. Pero kulang po yung 750 kasi sabi ng typhoon, it's more fun in the Philippines. Bumabalik-balik siya 16 times. Yun po yung ano sa amin. And then, sana makita to. And then yung sinabi ni Senator Risa Hontiveros kanina, yung protection of consumers. Because we believe in the electric co-op, kami po yung consumer. Ganun po, ma'am. And sir, in the part of NAGBEC, thank you and good high noon po.
Thank you, sir, for bringing that to our attention. Take note, Department of Energy and ERC and National Electrification Administration. Yun nga po yung sinasabi natin, di ba? Yung kanina, ang dami lang problema sa Visayas yung line rental, nawala, ipapasa doon sa consumer. Hindi naman kasalanan ng consumer. Wala nang pakialam ng consumer kung saan binili ng distributor yung kanyang power. Bakit biglang tataas? Kasi kumuha kami sa ganitong lugar eh. Kasi dapat na mag-incur na noon yung distributor, di ba? Hindi na yung consumer. Kasi yung consumer, yun lang talagang babayaran niya yung ginagamit niya. Wala na siyang pakialam, di ba? Para mo sinabi, sir, na yung Grab, yung sinakyan mo, taxi, mas mura itong binilhan niya ngayon. Dahil wala na ditong stock itong gasolina dito, doon siya pumunta sa Las Piñas, mas tataas ang singil sa kanya, which is unfair. Thank you po. Thank you, National Association of General Managers of Electric Cooperative. Next. Philippine Electric Plant Owners Association. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Yes. Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and members of the Committee on Energy. EPOA represents the small private electric utilities. Now, we already submitted our comments to the pending bill on EPIRA amendments. And generally, we support the bills proposing the strengthening of the Energy Regulatory Commission. Let me just highlight the bill on the proposal to impose cross-ownership prohibition. As it is, the EPIRA provides only cross-ownership restriction where a distribution utility is limited to procure only 50% of its power requirements from its affiliate generation company. Now, the issue is the high cost of generation, no? And the high cost of generation is indicative of the lack of investments in the country. If we prohibit cross-ownership between generation and distribution, we would be disqualifying a large portion of potential investments into generation, which would further aggravate the lack of supply in the market. So we would recommend just to retain the restriction as prescribed in the EPIRA. Now, we have not yet submitted comments on the proposed bills on system laws, but I would just like to make some preliminary comments on system laws. We agree with the observation of the chair that there are two kinds of system losses, technical and non-technical system losses. We appreciate that there may be some recognition for allowing technical losses because this is inherent in the business of distribution of electricity. For the non-technical losses, this is the rationale for setting a system loss cap on system losses in the Republic Act 7834. This was ultimately set at 9.5%, and the ERC in 2018 brought down this system loss cap further, the feeder system loss cap to 5.5%. No? There was an observation earlier made that there is no more incentive for the utility to apprehend these pilferage because for as long as they are within this system loss cap, they are able to recover all system loss within the cap. Now, let me just correct that observation because there is an incentive for a utility to apprehend pilferers of electricity, even if their losses are within the cap. This is because system loss refers only to generation cost, and that is being paid to the suppliers. Aside from the generation cost, distribution utilities also lose out on distribution revenues. So there is that distribution revenue losses. This is the revenue that goes to the utility. In system loss, they are not able to collect that distribution charge because it is lost in the system. That is why there is that incentive for a utility to apprehend to the extent possible all pilferers of electricity so that system loss, the equivalent consumption of that system loss can also be converted into a distribution sales. So they would derive revenue from it. In the same token, for technical losses, there is still that incentive for utilities to bring down further their actual system loss because if they just maintain their system loss within the cap, they also lose distribution revenues that could be a potential revenue for them if they lower further their system loss. So that's why they invest in capital expenditure projects in order that their distribution system would become more efficient to reduce system loss, and that will result into a reduction of system loss, which will be converted into distribution revenues. So with that in mind, the subject of system loss is very technical, and there are many matters to be considered in addressing that problem of system loss. So we would recommend from PEPOA that we allow the regulator the opportunity to address how best to solve this problem of system loss, because under the EPIRA, they have been empowered to issue rules and regulation to address these pass-through charges, among other things.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Ronulfo Ocampo. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a quick rejoinder lang kay Attorney Ocampo. I have a different view, Attorney Ocampo, on the matter of cross-ownership. We have, with all due respect, I have a different view. Nasabi nyo kasi it might discourage investments in GenCos, in generating companies. But actually, the reason why I filed this bill is because precisely it's discouraging investments in generation, in the generation sector. Madalas ko kasi naririnig, lalo na Meralco is the biggest utility in the country. Sinasabi ng mga GenCo, kung wala kang kakilala sa Meralco, kung hindi ka investor ng Meralco, mahirapan ka manalo ng kontrata sa kanila. No, so and this type of comments naririnig ko ito throughout, no. That's why nga there are cases wherein Meralco invested in that generating company, 'di ba? Marami tayong cases na ganyan. So the point why I filed to decouple or to prevent yung cross ownership between utilities and GenCos is really to encourage true competition, meaning the distribution does not have any stake in the generation, and therefore the generation company will have to compete, no, on the basis of price and service, kasi wala siyang equity stake in the distribution company. So that's the point. Kaya ko final to, because to encourage more competition, to also avoid temptation. Kasi kung ikaw ang temptation in both ways, kung ikaw si distribution, ikaw rin may-ari ng generation, may temptation na ayusin mo yung TOR in terms of reference na sinabi ni Chairman actually in the first hearing na sometimes naglalagay ng mga, ito alam ng mga utilities to, maglalagay ng konting, diba Chairman, maglalagay ng konting technicalities doon. Dapat yung planta mo mas bago ng ganito. Dapat yung fuel mo galing sa ganito. Kaagad yung terms of reference will now be customized to a certain generating company na meron rin siyang equity stake doon, no? So to remove that temptation, in my view, no, is mas magandang walang cross ownership between generation and the distribution, no? So that is my take, kaya final natin to also throughout the discussions with several generation companies and potential investors, no?
Yes.
Go ahead, quick answer, Attorney Ocampo.
Just quick comment, yes. What Senate President Win is referring to is yung mga sweetheart deals between affiliate companies, no? Sweetheart deals probably entails yung price of generation is above market kasi nga it's a sweetheart deal, no? Now the the solution of IPIRA here is yun nga, medyo long term kasi yung solution. It's retail competition and open access. Kasi kung above market yung generation cost ng utility, because of that yung may sweetheart deal with an affiliate contract, the consumer can switch to another supplier na yung negotiated supply contract na yung would be market-based. Yung price, as yung utility naman, there is that risk of incurring, kasi nga because of retail competition, they have the risk of incurring stranded contract cost. Under the IPIRA, what is recoverable as stranded contract costs are only contracts that were entered to prior to IPIRA. So any contracts that were entered to during IPIRA and were stranded are not recoverable from the consumers. So yun lang yung just a quick answer.
All right. Well, let me just add to that, Attorney Ocampo and SP Win Gatchalian. Meron na nagreklamo sa akin na generator. Sumali po siya sa bidding. 3 po yata sila, 4. Bidding for power doon po sa utility distributor. Ang problem ho, nanalo yung pinakamahal, sila yung pinakamura at natalo ho. Suspetsya nila mukhang pag-aari po ng distributor yung generator. So that's a bad thing about it. Kailangan ho talaga siguro magkaiba yun. But anyway, moving on, please limit your, we still have a lot of resource persons here. Philippine Independent Power Producers Association, sir.
Good
ma'am.
afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Senate Committee on Energy, as well as to the rest of participants of today's hearing. This is just to provide, Mr. Chair, PIPA's general comment, but we will submit a formal position on specific provisions of the proposed bills. PIPA supports a careful review of the IPIRA, especially as it has been more than 2 decades since its implementation. With respect to bills with provisions on lifeline rates, PIPA supports reforms that assist vulnerable customers, yet respectfully submits that social protection should be funded transparently and sustainably. Any subsidy granted must also be accompanied by reliable beneficiary validation, clear eligibility rules, adequately funded annual appropriation, and a prompt reimbursement and reconciliation mechanism. As for amendments on ERC strengthening, PIPA supports measures that strengthen the ERC's institutional independence, technical capability, accountability, and capacity to resolve cases within predictable timelines. Specific amendments should nevertheless preserve due process, regulatory consistency, and proportionality of penalties. Because IPIRA governs an interconnected electricity market, we emphasize that major amendments should be assessed and supported by regulatory, competition, fiscal, and system impact studies. While PIPA supports amendments which strengthen the ERC, prevent anti-competitive conduct, and improve reliability, we nonetheless submit that any measure imposed should be carefully calibrated so that they do not unintentionally impair existing contracts, create duplicative regulation, provide for retroactive changes to approve cost recovery mechanisms, or discourage the generation and infrastructure investments needed by the country. That said, PIPA remains committed to engagement and in providing the committee with operational and technical information necessary to develop effective and implementable legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Margaret Uy. The developers of renewable energy for advancement. Oh, okay. Retail electric suppliers of the Philippines.
Good
You have 3
afternoon.
minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Senate President Gatchalian, and Senator Ontiveros. On behalf of the RESA, we would like to manifest we support the policy direction to amend portions of the IPIRA, and we would like to further align with how the ERC would like to undertake the reforms needed, as we view the ERC as the competent entity to determine how they would like to improve on their service. So outside of that, we will provide a detailed position paper for consideration of the committee. And just one thought on the implementation of retail competition. So we are now reaching the household level to a certain degree through aggregation. And we take the opportunity to state in the open that we started only in 2013, and it's only now that the fruits of reaching or giving the opportunity for end users to directly negotiate their requirements, that it's happening. And we appreciate that the DOE and the ERC support us in our initiatives to clarify tax applications on the retail sector transactions and further improve on the process. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving on, National Geothermal Association of the Philippines. I'm sorry, Phil Hydro Association.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to the esteemed senators in this committee. Phil Hydro is an organization of hydropower developers, manufacturers, and service providers in the hydropower industry, which primarily is involved in the generation sector. On Senate Bills number 63, 346, 367, 1091, 1164, 1477, 1950, 2109, and House Bill 2112. These are proposed amendments to RA 9136, which is the IPIRA. Phil Hydro recognizes the urgent need to accelerate RE development. We leave the wisdom to the authors of the said bills on the said direction. We also hail these bills, especially on its aim to further strengthen the ERC. On Senate Bill 1088, which is an act removing the public offering requirement of generation companies, which is authored by our esteemed Senator Win Gatchalian, we hail this bill and push for its enactment. Phil Hydro believes the IPO requirement no longer serves its purpose, especially as hydro developers whose average capacity are within the 5 to 10 megawatt range only. About 90 to 95% of hydro plants also are below 50 megawatt in capacity. The ERC is also there to review and regulate our contracts if ever we wanted to enter into power supply agreements with DUs. And lastly, though this is not part of the agenda, I would like to commend the national government through the DOE for including Run-of-River Hydro in the next round of the green energy auction, which is JEA-7, as this gives us the opportunity to develop more hydro projects to add more power and stability to our grid using indigenous sources. So if there is a bill to strengthen the green energy auction, then we would appreciate it a lot. Thank you, and that's for all now, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Wind Energy Developers Association, are you here? You have 3 minutes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Senator Win and Senator Hontiveros. The Wind Energy Developer Association is composed entirely of wind developers, and we are focused on the generation and promotion of the wind industry. Now, we've submitted our position paper, and in the interest of time, I'd just like to focus on two things. We support the bills which strengthen the ERC in its role as regulator, considering the breadth of the industry that it regulates, starting from the distribution, utilities, generation, and down to consumers on a very granular level. So the enforcement capability of the commission should be strengthened. In this instance, the exemption from the salary standardization would be a very important step towards making the ERC competitive in terms of retaining talent and training talent over the long run that it can rely on in order to perform its mandate properly. The other point already mentioned by my colleague from PhilHydro is that we support the removal of the public offering requirement. To be candid, in addition to the comments made or to the rationale provided by SP Win, the public offering requirement may actually be a bit anti-competitive in terms of the smaller developers, because the smaller developers would not have more than 1, 2, or 3 projects, and the stock exchange looks for a pipeline of projects and continued growth. So they may not be fit for the stock exchange, and there are a lot more ways to achieve capital or secure capital more effectively or more efficiently for small developers. And then lastly, separately, in keeping with the topic, we'd like to support the statement or the statement that the ARCOA, to accelerate the implementation of ARCOA so that it will reach household level as soon as possible, because this provides the electricity consumer at the very end of the line the direct benefits of competition envisioned by APIRA. Thank you.
Attorney Ambrosio, would you happen to know kung marami mga investors would like to come in dyan po sa wind turbine infrastructure?
Infrastructure in terms of
Wind, yes.
Yes, we do have a lot of developers, sir.
I mean, would you happen to know kung may mga interested pa from overseas who would like to come in? And,
Yes, in fact, we do have developers already from Denmark, China, and Spain, who are using the rule of the established that there can be 100% foreign investment in wind and solar.
Kaya, kasi kagaya po nitong mga off-grid sa mga islands natin, that will be very reasonable, di po ba? Not dependent on power from Luzon. For example, my province, Palawan and Mindoro. I mean, that's maganda ho yun kasi they don't have to rely dun sa power coming from Luzon. Mainland.
Correct, Chairman. And because of the advances in technology, hybridization is much more possible nowadays. Either wind with battery, solar with battery, and that's a lot more possible.
So when do you think that will be possible? How many more years are we talking about now? We will be seeing a lot of wind turbines in the country.
Yeah. Right now, there's at least nearly 500 megawatts in operation, and I believe there's nearly a gigawatt in development, and we will see them soon as a result of the green energy auction.
Thank you. Philippine Solar Storage Energy Alliance.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Senator Erwin Tulfo, Senate President Senator Robin Gatchalian, and Senator Risa Hontiveros. PISEA is an alliance of solar power companies and battery energy storage systems companies. On behalf of PISEA, nag-submit na po kami ng aming position paper. Sinusuportahan po namin ang mga bill na pinapalakas po ang ERC. Kasama po sa aming mga proposals are, una po, i-maintain po yung composition ng ERC na chairperson and for commissioners para po conducive yung decision making. Pangalawa po, nananawagan po kami ng mga reforma sa competitive selection process na isabatas. Kasi po isabatas po itong mga reforma na ito to promote competition. Also po para po magkaroon po ng level playing field sa lahat po ng energy power generation companies na wala pong palakasan. Magkaroon po tayo ng transparency and accountability, gawin pong mandatory ang CSP at makasigurado po tayo na least cost electricity ang binibili ng ating mga kababayan. For the past 25 years, consistent po ang Pilipinas, according to studies, consistent po ang Pilipinas for the past 25 years na nasa top 3 highest residential electricity prices in the whole of Asia. At isa po sa mga core issues sa high electricity prices sa Pilipinas, ang CSP o ang competitive selection process. Nabanggit niyo na rin po kanina, marami po talagang problema sa CSP. Meron po yung alleged tailor fitting of bid requirements. Meron din po yung mga passed on costs, lalo na po sa mga fossil fuel power plants. Napakarami pong issue dito. Kaya naniniwala po kami na it's about time na magkaroon po tayo ng reforma sa CSP at isabatas po ito para mas maging malakas itong mga reformang ito at mas magkaroon po ng permanency itong reforms sa CSP po natin. At nananawagan din po kami na palakasin po natin ang mandate ng ERC na mag-promote ng strategic investment sa power sector, bawasan po natin yung mga processing times sa regulatory requirements at also po sana po yung ERC is mas sumunod po sila sa timelines ng energy virtual one-stop shop. Maraming salamat po, Your Honor.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Take note, Energy Regulatory Commission.
Mr. Chair, may I just state for the record that the ERC's record in terms of EVOS compliance is 100%. In fact, we've been processing applications way below the timeline that is specified in the law. I take offense to that statement. That implies that we have not been complying with the EVOS law.
Pero sir, somebody came up to my office and he was complaining nga na yung, I agree with him, yung competitiveness. Tatlo po sila nagbidding sa isang distributor. Ang problem is pinili yung pinakamahal. So therefore, yung sisingilin po ay mahal, di po ba? Hindi ko alam kung may sweetheart deal yung distributor at saka yung generator. Kasi nagrereklamo po siya, siya yung pinakamura. And then suddenly, sinilipan siya ng ganito, hindi siya nanalo. Eh dapat pa lang daw, doon sa pagtanggap pa lang ng kanyang mga requirements, kung hindi siya naka-fulfill, dapat din-EQ na siya, di ba? Disqualified. Unfortunately, hindi. Hanggang sa matapos, natalo siya. Pero nung tinignan nila, yung kinuha ng distributor ng kuryente, ay yung mas pinakamahal na generator. So, he doesn't understand. Kaya nga po nireklamo niya, when I took over as Energy Committee Chair, gusto po niya na iparating sa inyo, pero without mentioning his name kasi na may kontrata na po siya isang distributor. Yun po yung naririnig namin eh. So, pakibantayan lang ho na mabuti. I don't know kung ano hong mga process ang ginagawa ho ninyo na para maiwasan po yung favoritism, yung bidding-biddingan, nag-bidding pa, isa na diniretso na lang, tinap na lang siya, ikaw gusto kita, ikaw na lang dito, di ba?
Po, tama po Mr. Chair, kaya nga po napag-usapan natin nung last week na kami po ay mag-i-implement ng requirement na dapat ay dadaan sa amin lahat yung terms of reference. Dahil sa kasalukuyan ay wala po kaming control dito at hindi namin na nga natitingnan. Ngayon po, pagka promulgate na namin yung regulasyon na yan, dadaan po sa amin lahat ng terms of reference at hindi na po yung mangyayari yung ngayon. Nagkakaroon sila ng ITB o invitation to bid, tapos maya merong bid bulletin, mababago na naman yung requirement, tapos malilimitahan yung po pwedeng mag-participate. So marami nga po kami rin naririnig na gano'n, kaya gusto natin na maiwasan na po yung mga ganitong mga aktibidad.
Kailan ho ma-implement yung program na yan?
Ito po ay minamadali namin katatapos lang ng aming public consultations at kinokolate na lang namin para maisapinal yung final version ng resolution po at ipopromulgate po namin yan most likely within August po.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, SP.
Chair Nino, anong official position yun dito sa cross-ownership na bill? What's your official position being the regulator?
Ngayon po ay wala talaga kaming napag-usapan pa at the level of the commission. But if ako po ang matatanong, dahil ito ay Nangyari po ito doon sa IPIRA pa lang dahil nung pagsisimula nung deliberation ng IPIRA, mayroon tayong umiiral na mga power purchase agreement at ang mga between Meralco at ang kanyang ka-affiliate. At ito nga po ang naging pag-uusap sa Kongreso nung isabat ng IPIRA kung ito ba ay ipagbabawal na, dahil ang naging parang impression nun ay dahil mag-anak itong dalawang kumpanya, yung may-ari ng mga power plants na kinontrata ng Meralco, so maaring hindi nagkaroon ng talagang negosasyon na arm's length at hindi tuloy yung kontrata ay nagkaroon tuloy ng pagkakataon na makapag-recover ng mga gastusin na hindi naman nararapat. So yun lang po yung impression, and I think dyan po nanggaling kung kaya't nagkaroon ng partial na prohibition sa cross-ownership pagdating sa procurement, dahil nga po ang distribution utility dapat ay nagpo-procure siya ng least cost para sa kanyang captive market, at kung mayroon ng ganitong pagkakataon na may mapapaboran na kamag-anak na kumpanya ay hindi niya magagampanan yung obligasyon na yan. Pagdating naman po sa cross-ownership sa pagitan ng transmission at ng ibang mga sektor, kasi po yan din ay isang umiiral na prohibition na ng cross-ownership. Ang transmission company, dahil siya po ang pinakadaluyan ng kuryente, para magkaroon talaga ng kompetisyon, dapat ay mananatiling independente ang transmission at walang may mamay-aring or interest na distribution or kaya ay generation or supply, nang sa ganon ay walang masasabi na mapapaboran ang transmission operator at walang masasabi na impact or implikasyon nito sa pagkakaroon ng kompetisyon sa mga sektor na mayroon tayong pagpupursige na magkaroon ng kompetisyon tulad ng generation at supply.
Aralan nyo sa commission yung position. Would like to hear sana an official position from the regulator, dahil at the end of the day kayo yung mahihirapan o kayo yung madadalian ng trabaho dahil kayo magre-review ng mga documents eh. Kung may mga accusation nga of favoritism or sabi ko nga kay Senator Risa, ang daming ways to disenfranchise the bidder, kayo rin ang mahihirapan dyan. No, so ano kasi ang tendency and temptation is mabigat eh. Kung ikaw ang distribution company tapos meron kang may-aring generation company, yung temptation na bumili sa kanya mabigat eh. So you'll really find ways to makabili sa kanya dahil ano yan eh, kita yan for both companies, no. So pag-aralan niyo yung official position, and of course that should be based also on your experiences in the past, no. And ako naman alam ko to be honest, maraming magagalit na negosyante diyan, no, dahil marami nang may generation at may utility. But ang punto ko naman para sa consumers to eh, no, para sa kabutihan to ng consumers at para bumaba pa ang presyo ng kuryente natin dahil mas maraming competition ang papasok, no. So pumili ka na lang kung gusto mo na sa distribution ka, gusto mo na sa generation ka, pili ka na lang, but wag both. No? Pwede ka naman kumita in both sides. Eh, no? Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, you have 3 minutes, sir. Are you here?
Sir, sorry, just for clarification, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, sir?
Yes, Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, PCCI.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
We are from the Joint Foreign Chambers, sir.
Okay. All right. Arrancada Philippine Project.
Yes, sir. The Arrancada Philippine Project is the advocacy arm of the Joint Foreign Chambers, consisting of the American, Canadian, European, Japanese, and Korean, and the PAMURI, or the Association of Multinational Regional Headquarters. We, of course, are grateful for having us, and we are thankful to the chair and to the committee and our honorable senators for allowing us to participate in today's hearing. The amendments to the EPIRA has always been one of the priority legislations of the JFC. We included this, in fact, in every letter that we sent to the President before his SONA, including this year. Given the technical nature and the time constraint, we would submit our detailed position and on the provisions in a position paper as we have done during the previous Congresses. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, the Arrancada Philippine Project. Well, we move on. I think we have like four more. Freedom from Debt Coalition. What is your position on this, sir?
Magandang tanghali po, Chair Tulfo, Senate President Win, and Senator Risa. Mahaba na po ang discussion natin sa system losses. How about shifting the discussion to system overhaul? At kaugnay po nito, kasi 25 years na po yung EPIRA. Meron po kami sinabi na position paper. Pero 25 years na po itong EPIRA at none of the objectives na nilista ng ADV noong 2001 ay na-fulfill. So, siguro dapat talaga i-review. But number one po, yung narito ang mga kaibigan natin with due respect sa staff ng NGCP, dapat po nga review ang papel ng NGCP kasi ang transmission po sa papel ng mga gobyerno sa Asia, yan po ang nerve center. Sila ang system operator. So sila nagbabasbas how to develop the whole power sector. Pero nakikita nyo, medyo paudlot-udlot ang adjustment. So we're suggesting na ibalik sana yung nationalization ng transmission, kundi man Philipinization. Kasi po, meron din security implications yan. Anyway, that's one po. Sa generation, masyadong mahaba na ang discussion do sa system losses. But tingnan din po yung pag-approve ng ERC sa pricing na binibigay ng at saka sa ang Supreme Court po dati na may decision na pwede na ho sa mga monopolies katulad sa nasa generation na magkaroon sila ng return on investment na 12%. Pero ay sari-sari hong deduction ang ating kino-consider. Tapos pati yung itemization ng possible expenses for the next 5 years in terms of investment. Kaya po nagkakaroon ng malaking sakit ng ulo ang mga kasama sa ERC computing magkano yung overprice na nasisingil ng Meralco. Why don't we simplify this and why don't we appeal to the big companies na mag-exercise naman sila ng corporate social responsibility. Palagay ko po, kayang-kaya ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas na i-convene yung mga big gencos at tapos in the name of the welfare of the country at saka para maging competitive tayo sa getting investment, magsama-sama how to lower the cost. Yan po ang solution dyan. Hindi yan magagawa ng ARC lang. Pagdating ko sa distribution, we agree na bawasan naman po itong cross-ownership. At tapos po sa distribution po, lalo na sa electric co-ops, mahalaga ho ang papel ng consultation with the people. Yung po, marami po tayong co-op, pero hindi yata nila pinagagana yung prinsipyo ng cooperative na itong pagpatakbo ng cooperative is with the people and for the people. So dapat po ay nagsasama-sama dyan. In a way, ganyan po ang ginawa sa Vietnam. Vietnam, by the way, nalampasan po tayo sa Vietnam was a devastated country because of the war, divided yung country, and yet they achieve full electrification, lalo na sa rural areas. But malaki ho ang papel ng consultation sa tao. Malaki po. And then, hindi po namin maintindihan itong animal na tinatawag na WESM. Kasi yung WESM naman, parang ilan lang naman pa-participate dyan. Tapos, bakit sila ay nakapagdidikta ng price dito sa gagamit sila dito sa yung surge ng pricing ng ilang mga nangangailangan ng kuryente because yung tinatawag na line surcharge. Okay. So, medyo po dapat ma-review itong overall. Yun po, in summary, ang gusto namin mangyari, magkaroon ng hindi lamang review ng system losses, but the system as a whole, system overhaul. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Rene Ofrenio, the reason why this hearing is being conducted, this is our second hearing. It is all about IPIRA law, sir. We really have to, it's high time that we have to review this. Hindi lang po IPIRA, pati all the regulation po, re-reviewin po nitong committee na ito. Thank you very much, Attorney Salesa. Institute for Climate Sustainable Cities, are you here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Please limit your presentation or statement for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, good afternoon po, Senator Tulfo. Good afternoon, Senator Win, Senator Risa Hontiveros. Thank you po for the opportunity to provide our small input to this hearing this afternoon and earlier this morning. So first of all po, marami na pong na-discuss earlier with regard to system loss and all of this. But in all of this po, since we are working in a free economy, there has always been a private entity and a regulator. But from what we can see po, there has been some sort of a lacking characteristics or categories by which we determine if the private entities are compliant or are up to our standards by which they provide their service. Siguro po, just to balance between a regulator and a private entity, it will also be for the benefit of all. So in the private sector po, this is, if I may suggest po, private sector, this is termed as service level agreement. So we agree on by which standards we determine if the service providers are compliant or not. And in conjunction to that po, if I may also suggest, is of course we need in a free economy, we need a strong regulatory agency or regulator. So this is where we come in po, the ERC and the efforts po of this committee to provide a stronger regulatory agency as a ERC, DOE, or NEA po. So what we suggest po is that maybe in the earlier discussion po, for example, we were only talking about the audit of the ERC on the fuel pass. If the GenCos passed on to the computed their fuel pass through correctly. But maybe po we can go a little bit further by providing a mechanism or a process by which ERC can impose penalties and fines rather than just refund po. So that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Gonzon. Next, representative from the Japanese Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Robago, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Senators. Good afternoon. For over 5 decades, the Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry here in the Philippines has remained committed to strengthening and enduring economic partnership between Japan and the Philippines. Today, our chamber represents almost 700 Japanese companies and affiliated organizations. And they all watch out for energy costs and predictability here in the Philippines. In fact, we employ more than 300,000 Filipinos here in the Philippines. We would like to manifest that reliable, affordable, and sustainable electricity remains one of the most important considerations for Japanese companies operating and investing in the Philippines. Energy costs directly affect the competitiveness of manufacturers, exporters, logistics providers, and other industries that contribute to employment, tech transfer, and economic growth. So we at the Japanese Chamber support reforms that strengthen the country's power sector by promoting competition, improving regulatory efficiency, and encouraging timely investment in power infrastructure. As the Philippines continue to attract high-value manufacturing and strategic investments, we all know that,
maintaining a stable, predictable energy environment is equally important. We encourage that the amendments to the APIRA be guided by the principles of regulatory certainty, fair competition, and meaningful stakeholder consultation. These will help sustain investor confidence while advancing the shared objective of ensuring reliable, affordable, and sustainable electricity for consumers and businesses alike. The Japanese Chamber and also the Joint Foreign Chambers looks forward to continuing to work with the Congress and the relevant government agencies in support of these objectives. Thank you very much for the consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Rabago. Center for Energy Research and Policy, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. The Center for Energy Ecology and Development has been engaging issues in the power and energy sectors in the past decade alongside consumer groups and other CSOs towards promoting clean and affordable renewable energy. Many of the issues mentioned in the previous hearing and even today, like pass-through costs, annual outages, and issues on market pollution, have been part of the issues that we've been engaging. We welcome these hearings, which seek to discuss APIRA, a 25-year legislation that we believe has failed in bringing about affordable electricity for Filipinos. We have submitted our position paper and complete presentation for the reference of the committee. But for the sake of brevity, we would like to share just 3 points today. The first point is the reason behind the high electricity rates, which is the result of continued dependence on fossil fuels, much of which are imported. Counter to the objective of APIRA to generate affordable rates, data since the start of the decade and through the 2 wars showed that electricity rates have only continued to increase. Residential rates of Meralco, for example, have jumped from 9 pesos to 13 pesos since 2020. We can observe this across the country as well. As mentioned in the earlier discussion, a large portion of our electricity bills come from the generation sector, or rather generation rate component, where RE sources play around 4 to 6 pesos, while fossil fuel sources generate at a rate of up to 9 pesos. As one of our recommendations, we should prioritize RE development as opposed to technological neutral stance, given the benefits of RE in reducing generation rates. The second reason behind high electricity rates are pass-through costs, which particularly include fossil fuel costs. The removal of system loss is very welcome, and the discussion that opened up a while ago, covering what components of the generation charge are being passed on, is also welcome. These are exorbitant costs passed on to electric consumers. While private generation companies profit from electricity generation, selling electricity, electric consumers unfortunately have no share on those profits. However, when it comes to the risks attributed to imported fossil fuels, electric consumers shoulder that burden. This has long been questioned by consumer groups, especially now that the consumers are reeling from the impacts of the energy crisis. In fact, according to the Philippine Institute of Development Studies study, the energy crisis may push up to 3.1 million Filipinos into poverty. Pass-through should be prohibited and straight pricing should be mandated instead. We are part of groups that have questioned and asked for the adoption of straight pricing in the terms of power supply agreements. But unfortunately, pass-through is still allowed today. One last point in the interest of time is the need to prohibit cross ownership. And to raise the threshold that limits market concentration in the grid, that aims to prevent price manipulation and market collusion. Data shows that our grids are annually subjected to prolonged outages. Penalties should be increased and sanctions placed on those that go on prolonged outages far beyond the imposed limitations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Andres. SP, do you have a closing statement or Senator Risa? We're good. Okay. I just have one question for Attorney Juan. Attorney Juan, kung i-unbundle natin yung generation cost sa electric bill, do you think malalaman natin kung magkano yung kuha nila, magkano yung profit nila? Will you be able to do that? Then therefore, makikita ninyo, you can control yung profit margin siguro if we unbundle this. Unbundling of the generation cost.
Doon po sa regulasyon ng ERC ngayon, nire-require natin ang bawat distribution utility na i-post sa kanilang mga websites yung kanilang generation suppliers at kung magkano ang kuha at kung gaano kadami ang kinuha nila bawat buwan. So makikita po natin dito yung actual na ibinabayad sa kanya ng kanilang mga kakontratang distribution utilities. Pwede po natin naman na makita, ikumpara rin ito doon sa kanilang mga annual report na isinusumite sa komisyon at isusuma natin kung magkano yung kanilang benta sa kanilang mga kakontrata at more or less makita din natin kung magkano ang kinikita po ng ating mga generation companies.
Thank you, Attorney Juan. Attorney Juan, Yusek Inocencio, and Attorney Rosero Lee. We'll have one more hearing pertaining to this systems loss. Kailangan po natin madaliin ho ito. You guys really have to talk to each other and then communicate with us. We have a mission here. Kailangan na po ng mga kababayan natin para hindi na po nahihirapan. Sobrang pahirap na ho ito. Go ahead, Cedrica.
Dagdag po dyan, Mr. Chair, di ba may kasabihan na if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Pero simula dito sa pagtatanggal ng system loss charge at VAT sa system loss charge sa bill ng kuryente ng ating mga kababayan, I think maganda po yung direksyong tinatahak natin na dahil hindi naman po naganap yung pangako ng IPIRA sa loob ng quarter of a century, obviously, kailangan po talaga nating amyendahan yan kung di man palitan ng isang bagong batas na gaganap sa pangako niya na magkaroon ng kuryente lahat ng Pilipino at the least cost. Salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senrisa. Yun ho yung target natin. Siguro, Attorney Juan and Yusek Rio and Attorney Rosan, siguro you will agree with me. Baka pwede natin i-Christmas gift sa mga tao itong systems loss na ito. Is that possible?
We will endeavor, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Juan?
Yes po, apo.
From NEA.
We'll follow the lead of the Department of Energy and PRC.
Thank you very much. Well, with that, thank you to all our resource persons for your valuable insights, recommendations, and contribution to this discussion. The committee extends its sincere appreciation to all our resource persons, stakeholders, and distinguished colleagues for their valuable participation and meaningful contribution to today's deliberation. Together with the submission and discussions from the hearing conducted on July 23, today's proceedings have further enriched the committee's understanding of the issues and proposed reforms relating to EPIRA. The Secretariat is directed to consolidate all position papers, comments, recommendations, and additional submission received in connection with this hearing for the committee's review and evaluation. For those who have not yet submitted their position papers, supplemental comments, we respectfully request that they be forwarded to the committee at the soonest possible time. And I'd like to announce that on Friday next week, there will be another hearing pertaining to this systems loss. There being no further matters to discuss, this hearing is hereby suspended. Thank you and have a pleasant day to everyone.